Hey, this is John with Smoke Eater Guitars. Our mission is to keep your axe playing its best at all times. On this channel, we'll cover some basic setups all the way up to pro level repairs. I'll show you tips, tricks, even some trade secrets. Our mission is to save rock and roll, one guitar at a time. Tonight we're going to be talking about action and intonation. So let me explain to you exactly what action is, and then kind of show you the steps of setting an action with a tailpiece like this, Tune-O-Matic style tailpiece. Now this is a bomb guitar. It's BAUM. It's made in Denmark. It's a higher end guitar. This is a semi-hollow guitar. I was looking for a semi-hollow and I was looking for a P90 guitar, and this actually has both the P90s and the semi-hollow. So this was kind of a no-brainer. Not the cheapest guitar, but it is definitely a higher end guitar. So today we're going to show you how to set the action on this. Now I have another video where I talked about setting action on individual saddles, like a Strat style tremolo system. That one takes a little bit longer than this one, and I'll explain to you why. Every guitar has an arch or a radius to the fretboard. Sometimes that radius can be as low as 7 1/4, as high as like a 16 radius. And the higher the number, the flatter the board. So a 7 1/2 would be like this, and then a 16 would be almost very flat. So we're gonna we'll check out what radius this is in a few minutes. But the reason I bring that up is normally the tailpiece, the saddle device, is set at the same radius as the neck. So to set the string heights exactly where you want them, all you have to do is set the string heights on the 2 E strings, so the low E and the high E. And because this is radius the same as the neck, the rest of the strings will be at the same height. So let's do that first. We're going to set the string heights. So the tools we're going to need is a capo. We are going to capo the first fret, right behind the first fret wire on the first fret. So I'm going to bring this up a little bit. So we're going to go right behind that first fret wire and put our capo. Get our measuring kit from Music Nomad. Now you don't have to have this exact kit, but what you will want to get if you're going to change your strings or do a little bit of setup yourself, you're going to want to get one of these fret measuring tools. It's a string action gauge is what they call this. Now this is the one that came with the kit from Music Nomad, but there's other ones that you can get. This one is very similar to the other one. I don't like this one as much. I like the ones with the single lines on it, like this. And it will help you set this up very quickly. We'll get into exactly how to set up string heights with this gauge, with this particular gauge. So first I'm going to walk you through the steps, and then I'm going to show you a little bit more about this in detail. All right. So we're going to need this, and that should be it. That's the only tool with the capo and this. We should be able to turn the saddle piece by itself. So let me take you back down so you can see what I'm doing here. Let me bring you in just a little bit too. As long as you can see the 12th fret and this really well. All right, so first thing, let's evaluate where we are. So we put the capo on the 1st fret. We come down to the 12th fret is where we're going to measure. We're going to measure, if this is the 12th fret, we're going to measure the at the wire on top of this fret wire on the back of the 12th fret. So with this tool, I'm going to set this into on top and see what level we're at. So we're low right now. We're at 0.03 inches. And I like mine at 5 inches or 0.05 inches. So we have to bring this saddle assembly up. This particular one just has a turning wheel on the side and it will bring that up. So if I loosen that turning wheel, so we're going to have to loosen that string up a little bit to adjust this. I have a feeling we're going to have to. So let's loosen it up. Let me get my tool out. We're going to loosen this up. Loosen up the strings because I think there's so much tension on the strings, it's not allowing that to roll. So we're going to loosen this up. The sucky part about that is that we need this to be almost in tune to check the string heights. So I loosen that up. Yeah, that's nice and loose. So let's see if we can turn it now. Yeah. So I'm going to capo. I'm going to tighten just this one string and we'll recheck it. Capo that 1st fret. All right, so we're coming up. It just comes up really nice and slow. Now, once that's set, that string is tight, you're not turning it, but once you loosen it, it quickly allows you to turn. All right. I'm going to get these two close, then we're going to retune. So that's right where I want it to be, right at 5. This one, the low E, I need to tighten up. Let's see where it ends up at. So this one with the capo on a Epiphone, there's actually a screwdriver top to it to where you can turn it with the screwdriver. You don't have to turn the wheel. This one is very wheel oriented, so that's at 5 now. And the bottom's at 5. So we're set where I like it, but we have to go back and retune all the guitar to see if the relief, it messes with the relief, it messes with that string. All right, I said while we were filming the last episode about action and intonation that I would explain how to use the measuring tool. This is the tool that we're talking about. This is your string action gauge. And we're going to kind of read. I'm going to write it out on the board because it's a little hard to read on the camera with this gauge. So I'm going to write it on the board so it's really clear what we're talking about. So on this gauge, you have several lines, and it looks almost like stairs. Go like this. I'll turn the board so you guys can read it better. So on this board, it has these lines, and above the lines it has the measurements that go from 0.02 up to 0.14. Now those are inches, 0.02 inches, 0.03 inches, 0.04 inches, and so on. So those are what we're going to use at the 12th fret. We capo the first fret, and then we go to the 12th fret. It's the fret wire on the 12th fret closest to your pickups. So that's that 12th. So your 12th fret wires are here, and then you have your two dots. This is your headstock. This is your pickup. This is the fret we're measuring on. So if that makes sense to you. So this is your headstock here, direction, and this is your pickup direction. So we're going to measure right on that 12th fret, the two dots, right on top of that fret wire. And what we do is we set the tool down, and we're looking at the gap. If you're looking at the side of the neck, this is your neck. This is your fret wire that just pops up. And then your string runs right across that. And there's a gap between your fret wire and the string, and that's the gap we're measuring, just this little void area right there. So we're going to set that tool into that void area and read the measurement off of these lines at the bottom. All right. What I like to set mine at is right here to 0.05. Some players like 0.06. Some players like 0.07. This gauge will actually tell you what is low, what's low medium, what's high for electric, acoustic, and bass. So it kind of gives you a point of reference. Now, according to this chart, I like low action because I like it at 0.05. It says the high E can be up to 0.04, which is actually lower, but I keep all mine at 0.05. That's just how I play. That's what I'm used to playing. That's kind of where my hands go to naturally. So what we're going to do is when we put that gauge on there, and this is simulating our gauge, I'm going to simulate the string. The string will be somewhere along this line. So the string, you want the string to be right here when you're measuring. So it should touch the top of that line at the 0.05 mark. The bottom of the string should touch the top of that line, and you know you're perfectly set to that height or that action. If, as an example, take away our blue line here. If our string sat here, we're too high because the string is actually, let me take this light up so there's not a glare. Turn the light off. How's that? There we go. So if the string is above the line that has the 0.5 on it, your action's too high. If your string is below the line and the line on the gauge is setting above the string, then your action is too low. Kind of hard to erase this without messing everything up. So that's really the gauge and how to utilize that gauge. It's fairly simple. I will tell you that there's two sides to this. There's a standard size side, which is in inches and fractions. And then there's a metric size. The metric size correlates with the standard size. So a 0.02 would be the same as 0.5 millimeter. This would be 0.75. This is 1. This is 1.25. This is 1.5. This is 1.75. So they go up in quarter increments. This is 2. They go up in quarter increments. This is where I like to be, is at the 0.05 or 1.25. And really, there's not a right or wrong which side to use, which side is accurate, more accurate than the other. You just pick the side that you're used to doing. To me, it's easiest if I just remember 0.05. So that's what I use. Now, for some guitars can take this low of action. Your cheaper, more starter guitars may not be able to handle 0.05 because of the neck radius, because of the relief that's set. It could have a lot to do with your fret sizes. It could have a lot to do with a lot of things. But 0.05 is my preference, and if I can't get it to go to 0.05 because of buzzing or other issues that are happening, that it chokes out or whatever the case may be, I go back and double check my relief on my neck. I check my nut. I check fret levels. Has a lot to do with that. Making sure all the frets are level, and so I rock all the frets to make sure that they're level. But my goal is to get the guitar to 0.05. Whenever I have student guitars in here, I ask them what their preference is. Most of them don't know. So what I'll do is I'll set them somewhere between a 7 and a 6, depending on what I can get without that guitar buzzing. Now that's if they come in for, just a string change. If they do a complete setup, I can normally get those guitars a little low. Low action is good for both advanced and beginners. I prefer low action, and it just makes the guitar easier to play. So that's where I like to set it at. So I hope that explains how to read the tool a little bit better. Okay, so now we have it retuned. We're going to go back because the string tension actually pulls the neck. So it will actually, when you get all the strings, it'll create this little bow to it, and that can sometimes throw off your action. So we are going to go back and check that action again. Now that we have both sides of this done, we'll go back and recheck the action. So let me throw the capo on there. And that's right at 5. And that's right at 5. So I like mine at 0.05. Some guitarists like a little higher, some like it lower. I like mine right at 0.05. So now that we got the action set, let's talk about intonation. Intonating this guitar isn't too much different than intonating any other guitar. We had the other video with the single saddles. You have a single screw that will move that saddle back and forth to help you intonate. These have roller saddles on there, but the saddle, the concept is still the same. If it's flat, it's too much string, you got to shorten that string by pushing that saddle forward. If it's sharp, you got to lengthen that string by pulling that saddle back. You're not really lengthening the string, you're lengthening the gap between this point and this point is what you're lengthening. So we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how to do a simple simple intonation test that will work for 90% of you guys, and how to set them for 90% of you guys. More advanced players, we utilize the whole neck to kind of set intonation. But we start at this point first. So I'm going to make sure this E is perfect. Then I'm going to go to the 12th fret, put my finger on it. And it's perfect. Go to the A. So that G string is a little flat. So we've got to shorten that gap up. And how we're going to do that is we're going to push that saddle forward. So we're going to need a flathead screwdriver. There's some screws right behind the saddle on the back side of the saddle assembly. Those screws move the saddles forward and backwards. If you tighten the saddle, it brings it backwards. If you loosen the screw, it brings the saddle forward. So we're going to need to go forward just a little bit because it is flat. So we need to get a flathead screwdriver. So let's try that right there. That's perfect. That's a G. That's a G. This one should be off because I turned it. Maybe I didn't turn it enough to take it off. So that E's a little flat, so it needs to go forward. So we'll go to the E, to the screw, and we're gonna loosen that screw to push the saddle forward. Let's try that. I think we did a little bit too much. Let's see. Yep, we need to bring it back just a little bit more. Took it forward just a little too much. So we're going to go clockwise this time, kind of tighten the screw. Let's try that. And now that's perfect. So we're going to go back and check it one more time. So we are perfectly intonated. And that truly is all there is to intonation, is just moving those saddles back and forth until it makes the same note. At the open and the E, or the open and the 12th. I'm sorry. So the open and the 12th. If you do open and then you do your 12th, it should be the same note. All right. And that is intonating this type of guitar. So we went over string height, which we'll check one more time. Go with string height check. We are at exactly 0.05. And on the high, we are exactly 0.05. And that's how I like my guitars, right at 5. So there's a couple other things I want to do to this guitar before I actually start putting it into service, into rotation. Like I'm going to make sure my nut is gaps are set straight, but that's not what this video is for. I'm going to make sure my neck relief is set. That's not this video. So the video that we wanted to cover, just the action and intonation, that was it. Nice and short video. So thank you guys for watching, and we will hit you up next time, okay?